What's up, Jet fans? I just finished watching Week 3, Jets at Tampa Bay, and I am tired, I suppose. Part of that is because I woke up at 5 a.m. today, but also this game was pretty tiring as well. Um, I actually, before the game even ended, after the third quarter, the Jets went for it on 4th and 12 when they were down by like 3 touchdowns and they didn't get it. Um, the announcers were talking about like the Buccaneers' 50th anniversary or something. They weren't even talking about the game anymore. Clearly, like I said, Aaron Glenn, he went for it on 4th and 12. He gave up as well. And so I'm like, well, I'm done. So I made a video about how the Jets lost. It was like 6-23 or something. I was like, oh, I'm making this video early because I was done. Um, as soon as I finished that video, the Jets scored a touchdown. And I was like, all right, before I post this, let me see what happens. They end up losing. Um, they do go on a crazy fourth quarter run, I suppose. But just to get the easy stuff out of the way first, the record is 0-3. I predicted this. I didn't predict that this would be the way it goes. Um, but I did predict the outcome would be 0-3, and so that's correct there. Um, but yeah, Tyrod Taylor, this was his first game, and so I wasn't even mad that he was getting to start. Justin Fields is injured, and us Jet fans know how easy it is to blame the quarterback, right? I think we did a lot of that with Aaron Rodgers. And so being able to keep most of the stuff the same and then switch your quarterback is, I think, gives you like a good baseline of where your team should be and stuff. Um, I don't even know if Tyrod Taylor could do that, Tyrod Taylor could do that with us in this game because this was just a sloppy, ugly game. Um, just a really bad game. And like I said, that score is a complete lie. That is not how the game was going. That is not how momentum was going. If the Buccaneers lost this game, they would be the laughing stock of the NFL. And that says a lot about the Jets, actually, not as much as the Buccaneers. Um, because this was just a completely ugly game. Um, Things got out of control really quick for the Jets. But also part of that ugliness were the flags, and that's why I think this game was so hard to watch. Um, I've made one other video where I made my video before the game even finished because I was just so done with the game. And I like I said, I did it with this game too. um, and the reason I did it with this game is just this was such a slow, ugly game. So many penalties and you can't just like blame the refs. Oh, the refs are flag happy. Perhaps they were in some part, but also the Jets were committing so many penalties and the Buccaneers were committing so many penalties. And let me say, I'm a Jets fan. This is a Jets video. What is going on, right? The first half of the first game against the Steelers, the Jets were really good on penalties. The commentators were saying it. Ever since Greg Olsen, I think, said something about how good Aaron Glenn has been with no penalties, the Jets couldn't stop getting penalized, and it's the exact same thing as last year. And it's something that Aaron Glenn put a lot of focus on. Oh, we're going to fix up these penalties. That's going to be a thing. And that's a thing that the coach can do, right? This team is not talented. This team doesn't have the talent to make the playoffs, go on crazy runs. Um, but something that we all hope that this team has is we have a really good coach. And good coaches don't get these amount of penalties. And I think it was exacerbated by the fact that the Buccaneers were also getting all these penalties, and maybe there were some suspect calls. But just Aaron Glenn said he was going to stop this. Robert Saleh said he was going to stop this. Adam Gase probably said he was going to stop this. Todd Bowles probably said he was going to stop. Like, I don't know how far back you have to go. All coaches talk about how they're going to fix the penalty problem. And, well, this game, like, had a crazy number of penalties, and a lot of that was from the Jets. As I do think part of that score, the 27-29 score, the refs were actually helping us out a lot. I think that Alan Lazard touchdown shouldn't have counted. There's another play. Just they were giving us some favorable calls. against an injured Bucks team. And that's the other thing that I suppose we need to talk about is injuries. The Jets got, we already came in here with our quarterback being injured. Sauce Gardner was out. Quincy Williams was out during this game. I think a decent amount of injuries, once again on both sides, but for the Jets also. So that's not a good look, but we'll see what happens with Aaron Glenn. But just a bad game. And right, I want to emphasize whatever that score tells you. That's why I don't even have the stats up, right? For 3 quarters of football, this team looked terrible. Aaron Glenn, I think he looked bad too, honestly. He was screaming at his players. Right, there's nothing that you can really do on Sunday afternoon. Like, what are you going to do? Coach them up to make them good players? There's not much you can do there. But it's just a bad look when your coach is like screaming at you, I suppose. And yeah, just a not a good game. I think that we shouldn't look at this game as a good thing, right? It's almost like the Steelers lost. We lost in that game by a super close amount of points, and that was a game that we could feel good with. We looked good. I think we played well. The coaches coached well. It was a game to build off of. And then this game, the score was, I think, similar. At least the gap was, anyways. But this is not a good game. We should not be proud of this loss at all. This was a terrible game, and I think that I don't know. We're just not talented enough, and that's fine. The stars played well. Like Garrett Wilson played well. I think Brees Hall is fine. We stopped running because we were down so many points. So I can't really comment on him. Sauce Gardner I think was playing well. He was covering Mike Evans, who's one of the best receivers. Until Sauce Gardner got injured. Quinnen Williams was playing well. So the stars are playing well, but like this team just does not have a lot of talent anywhere else, and those stars aren't good enough or aren't at the correct positions to have us win these games. And that's where the rest of the team comes in, and also once again coaching comes in, and it just was not a good game at all. Even though we lost by a last second field goal, right? Will McDonald, I suppose you want to add him to the stars now because he almost won us this game single handedly, with that blocked field goal for a touchdown. But like I said, this game, the scoreboard is a lie, and we played poorly, and Aaron Glenn is gonna have to speak for this next week, right? We get to play the Dolphins. They're struggling themselves. I think we're worse than the Dolphins, but they are also struggling. So we'll see what happens in that game in Miami. But just a really bad game, nothing to be proud of, and when there's nothing to build off of and nothing to be happy with, there's not a whole lot I can talk about in these videos. So for my sake, hopefully that changes. For all of our sakes who watch the Jets year in and year out, hopefully this changes. But there's not a lot of optimism. There's not a lot of signs for optimism in this game, anyways. And yeah, I hope Aaron Glenn somehow corrects things. But I'm more and more pessimistic about him every day because like he's a defensive minded head coach. The defense is really bad. The Lions, but something that they did really well was they were able to get backups and like no names and guys off the streets and plug them into the system and play really well. This team cannot do that. Something he preached about was penalties. We were going to solve the penalty issue. We have not done that yet. Tackling, right? That was another thing he preached about in the offseason. Like, I think like the Jets like practice tackling, which is a thing for some reason you don't see in the NFL. But the Jets specifically focused and practice tackling. And this game, there were so many missed tackles that it was ridiculous. All these things that Aaron Glenn like told the media, I will solve these things. This is what we're focusing on. It just didn't work. And then he goes out and like singles out players and cuts them, right? Like he did with like Xavier Gibson after a really close Steelers loss where I don't yes, literally that fumble changed the outcome of the game, but there were so many plays that changed the outcome of that game, and you fix any single one of them, you win. So it's like sitting there and cutting Xavier Gibson and then talking about how he's preaching accountability. I don't think that's real. Like what happens when the Stars mess up? Are they gonna get cut? No, like that's just ridiculous. And then in this game, like I said, he blew up on a player on the field, um, and I don't think that solved anything personally. Call me a softie or whatever, but I don't think exploding on national TV in front of everyone on a player. I don't even remember what he did. I think he got a penalty. Like yeah, like that doesn't solve anything. And like I want him to be passionate. It's not like I'm asking for a coach to not be passionate, but I think there's a lot of fault with him. So who's like blowing up in his face, right? Because I think he's not doing that great of a job either. So hopefully we'll turn around. But and like I said, I expected an 0-3 start. It's just I didn't expect it this way. If we were 0-3 and we were competitive in all the games like we were with the Steelers, I think I would be preaching such a different tune. If we were 0-3 and that Steelers game was actually really garbage, maybe I would also be preaching a different tune because I wouldn't be able to see how good this team could be, right? 'Cause I think that Steelers game, even though it was a loss, and I think the Jets got overhyped by the media. I don't think we actually played that well in that game, but we definitely were competitive. We were a competitive team. But anyways, I just think that game like sucked us all in. It's like, oh, maybe this team's not going to be that bad, and then we have a game like this where even though we're just a field goal behind, this game was really bad to watch. And I won't be surprised if a bunch of you guys out there stopped watching after the third quarter because I basically did. I started recording a video after the third quarter because it seemed like everyone gave up. Like Aaron Glenn went for it on 4th and 12, but I'm rambling here at the end. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Goodbye.